I wanted to talk about the problem that I see in the world that's really affecting everything. I guess it's not the world so much as it is the United States, but the United States affects the world. Like, our culture it's the cool shit. Us and Japan and a couple other places, we make all the cool stuff. That's the thing that China or whoever will never have is that they can like make the tech, and they might even be able to invent new tech, but even if they attempt at doing their own version of like American and Japanese type culture, it's not going to supplant the other ones. It would just add to them. I don't know. It's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that in the United States, at least, people stopped punishing their kids for making a fool. That's what my uncle calls it. It's, there's kids that, for whatever reason, are just spastic and just making noise to make noise. You don't let kids do that. Not where they're not supposed to. Like, on the playground, backyard, fine. In their bedroom, maybe even, fine. In grandma's house, it's not fine. It's the way it was when I was a kid. And I think that's a result of me living in a very long-lived family that I had old people around, basically. And they raised their kids in such a way that they kind of behave like old people, too. And this isolates me somewhat from this shit. But in my, like, anthropological dive through modern culture that was coming out as trans and dating Dakota and all of that shit, this is what I see. It's that when you don't punish the child or whatever, if you don't correct any behavior, especially like this is the key is they're not correcting behavior before the age of 5 because they're a baby and they don't know any better, and that's bullshit. You're establishing behavior patterns for life. All of the things that kind of make me a fucked up person really happened to me before I was 5, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's pretty much true. Like, I can do shit about it. Choose to live differently. Choose to not be that way. But this is what's going on with many people, is they don't even know the reasons why they do the things that they do. And it all has to do with that shit from before they were 5. And I'm not saying you should be a harsh disciplinarian and beat your fucking kids, but, like, you need to be in charge. And, like, no one knows how to do that anymore. No one knows how to correct behavior in an effective way without bringing violence out. Like, that's the whole spanking thing. That's the danger of spanking. I'm not saying don't spank. There's definitely times where I think you should fucking swat a kid's ass. And the reason that I would say that is I was talking to my grandmother, and we both said pretty much the same thing, which is if I saw a kid trying to stick forks in an electrical socket, I would blister his ass in a way that didn't harm him permanently, but made him always remember that he didn't do that. And that's maybe not 100% correct, but that is how it's been done for thousands of years. I think I will take my fucking bets with thousands of years with the fucking electrical socket. It's not the electrical socket. That's wolves. That's fucking fire. That's anything dangerous. If you want a thing that cannot understand your words to get that it doesn't want to do that, some of that might be necessary. And I guarantee you, 90% of modern parents ain't doing that. And I guarantee you that the problem currently is that 70% of parents in the 90s and 80s didn't do that shit. We're looking at the results of our experiment in modern parenting gone awry. And, we're creating fleets of people like Hunter Biden. It's the nature of the system that we've made. You've made a bunch of rich and powerful people with dipshit drug addict kids. You want to know what's going on in America and why the Russians think they can make moves and why the Chinese think they can make moves? Look at our president's family and know that it's a good representation of America. We're weak. We're morally and ethically weak. We're financially weak. And, thanks to Joe Biden, we're militarily weak, too. Like, at least people didn't used to fuck with us. Now we have internal problems and people are going to be fucking with us. Yay. Not to mention the fact that, like, at some point you need motherfuckers to pull triggers. And everything that we've done has made the pool of people to do that real small. I think that is intentional. It's being orchestrated by whoever is doing this. Then there's the whole, like, gay trans shit. I wish I could explain that one. Like, it definitely contributes to our lack of available infantry in some ways. But in other ways not. Like, me being fucking gay or whatever has nothing to do with me being good or bad at infantry. Shit. Me being fat and like a genetic freak has to do with that. Yeah. Anyway. Fucking, the whole thing to me seems organized and orchestrated in some way to bring about a result. And I can't help but see this. Like, I think this was done to us a long time ago by the Soviets. Like the speech by Yuri Bezmenov, I think is essentially true. The Red Scare and the, like, universities in Hollywood and shit in the 1950s, they found real communists. They didn't find them all. Our colleges are still full of fucking communists. It's the Soviet sleeper agents that have become, these people. Or at least they taught the people that taught the people that taught these people. There's some of that. Like, the original, like, poison pill planted by the Soviets is long since dead. But it was a seed that, bore a tree that bore poison fruit that continued to live on. Bad metaphor. But, like, the whole idea of modern parenting and doing things different than mom and dad did kind of started in the 60s, 50s. Somewhere in there. And there were a bunch of books written on parenting and babies and whatever, and crazy experiments done by the Nazis and the people that used to be the Nazis when they started working for Uncle Sam. I don't know what all that is about, but I think it's interesting that, like, the CIA writes books. In case people didn't know that, like, everybody wonders, like, the Adam and Eve story? It's a book published by the CIA that was classified. Everyone wonders, why was that classified by the CIA? It was written by one of their people, and they decided that something in it was so horrifying it needed to never see the light of day. Other shit they decide is good for propaganda purposes or whatever, or is just good factual information, and they publish that shit. I bet you 110% if we look into some of these baby books written in the 50s and 60s that started this mess, some of them were probably written by people that either had ties to the CIA or the fucking Russians. Maybe a bit of both. Like, I don't know, like, I don't understand what the CIA does or what its goals are, but it seems like they are like their own internal, like, government within us that just does their own thing. And, like, they do some Nazi shit occasionally, from what I understand. All of this to say that people not understanding all of the shit that I've been talking about in this video, it's created entire generations of people that are these children that we're sifting through the fucking psychological wreckage of this, basically. This is a semi-mortal blow to the United States, believe it or not. People don't want to admit that. Kids will come out of it for the better, and like, we'll be fine in however many generations it takes to do that, but like in the short term, we have real problems. And some of the short-term shit is war to the point that we might lose Alaska. That would be sad. I don't think we're risking much more than that. Maybe, thermonuclear destruction, I guess, but like, I kind of doubt that anyone would do that because of the whole fucking, like, everybody's got nukes thing. And basically, you can't get them all. The subs, especially, are like, security blanket. Although they're probably being, like, run into the ground by Biden. So we won't have subs for very long. Like, even look at our president. Our president was one of the first people raised in this shit that I'm talking about that came after World War II. I think that's why he's like the prototypical example of a lot of this shit that I'm talking about with his children. The other thing that I see with the kids is lack of attention. Parents have to work all the fucking time, and kids, especially kids before the age of like 10, they need a lot of attention from their parents, male and female. And like, this is fucking up so many kids to the point that like, we have a gay pandemic. Because it's a combination of not seeing mom and dad interact and not receiving equal attention from the parents, I think, that greatly contributes to not you being gay, but the propensity for you to seek such things out, I guess. That's the way I would put it. I've kind of always liked what I liked, but like, I also see that, a pattern. Like, I know enough gay and trans people that like, they all come from broken homes without dads. Should tell you something. They're all looking for love too. And a lot of sex. Like, that's half of the thing, I think, is that these are people that want to have a lot of sex. Wish we could just figure out what's wrong and fix it, but I don't think there is a solution to this shit. My grandma and I talked the other night for 3 hours about this. And at the end of it, my question was, so we can't fix it. That's pretty obvious. What do we do as a family? Because, like, we were talking about the children in our family and the mistakes that I see that their parents are making, that, like, it's not my place as their cousin or whatever to step in and say something. It is grandma's place. It's 100% grandma's place. Like, the collective grandmas of our fucking country are the ones from the 1960s that themselves are a basket case of fucking cats. And most of them are too tread upon at this point by their children to step up and say something's wrong when it's wrong. Like, that's a definite thing. There's also definitely the fact that all of these old fuckers are still relatively in charge, and they still all hold the same opinions that they did in 1970, whatever they were. I could do a whole video on how today's politics is 1970s politics. I explained this to my cousin while watching some Watergate show with her at Grandma's house the other day. And I said something about how everything in that show is, like, connected to what's going on today. She's like, how so? I'm like, well, okay, you know Hillary Clinton? The people that investigated Nixon for Watergate, she was one of them. She was in their little group of, like, intern lawyers. That's how you become president. She was, like, fresh out of college or some shit. Sorry, just 1 second. And then, like, I explained Trump as Nixon 2.0, which he definitely is. Roger Stone is pretty much the man that made Trump. And while Trump wasn't around for 1970s politics, Roger Stone was in Hillary Clinton's position on the Republican side. And was even being called before Congress to testify and shit as one of the, co-conspirators or whatever, and because he was so deep in the Republican thing. He didn't get convicted of anything or, whatever, but, like, yeah. He went on to have a career making, political moves for other people in the shadows as a result of that. And never made runs himself. And he courted Trump as a potential candidate and talked him into doing this. And Trump's entire platform is like Nixon 2.0 mixed with all the best parts of Reagan, which is a pretty damn decent Republican platform, really, from a lot of people's perspectives. The hardcore, conservative crowd. Not really my cup of tea, but basically, I would much rather have Trump than Hillary Clinton at the time, and I would much rather have him than Joe Biden now. And to be honest, I kind of like that he's an outsider and that he really pisses them off, and I'm curious to see what he does in the second term. And I don't think that electing some random fucking Republican of whatever ilk is going to get us the same results as putting the Batman back in charge. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the man with a baseball bat standing up there holding court, finding out which one of these fucks actually went to Epstein Island. And maybe that's just me. Anyway, that's, 1970s politics is all over today's shit. We're watching a war being waged by people's children who have just been given like last instructions by grandma and grandpa on what to do. And there's still some of their grandma and grandpa's buddies alive running the shit. Like, this is some of the thing. It's like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are like the epitome of evil to me because of how long they've stayed at those jobs. There's not too many reasons why you would continue to do that. And basically all of them indicate that you're someone that shouldn't be a senator or congressman. You know, it's my opinion. Well, I hope somebody got something out of this. This is the problem as I see it, though. I'll see you guys later.